Alright, let's see if I can get this video uploaded today. I have tried to make this video for the last 3 months, but every time it drones on and I don't know where I'm going with it. This time, I'm just going to go with the flow. This first video for this channel is going to be regarding my near-death experience I had in July. Most of the time when you see near-death experience videos, it's what they saw or what they experienced during the whole experience, which for me it was just like skipping 30 minutes into the future where I was looking down at my hand. I'll get more into detail with that. A key specific with me was that I was diagnosed with Asperger's at the age of around 7 and moved away from my hometown maybe 2 years later. And within that time, I went from Hudson, Wisconsin to Florida to the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, and St. Paul. Had many jobs. I was aimed at one specific thing, was my love for aviation, and anything else was just useless. Going to just some random job for the sake of a job was not me. It was either aviation or die. That's exactly where it is with me, and also a friend of mine. Let's see. So in 2020, it was weird. So given that Asperger's is a social disorder, you look at people and you don't understand where they're coming from, or you have this social anxiety, the fear of something illusory, like maybe they're gonna kill you. I don't know. Social anxiety to me right now, from where I'm standing, does not make any sense because I have none anymore. I can talk to anybody and understand them down to the core, only because I've lived through literally all of it, which is just the weirdest coincidence. I understand everything because I was always questioning deep down why I was feeling the way that I did, but I didn't know why. Such as social anxiety, depression, bipolar disorder, the worst one, which was suicidal ideation, which didn't end until the birth of my now 3-year-old sister. Because once I saw her, and then 3 days later, I was filled with this feeling to just stay here for a little bit. Not to say that it wasn't all downhill from there either. It was. But at least that got rid of that ideation factor where I was just like, all right, I'll just let life kill me. Of which it did. So in 2020, I started becoming social and finding myself in a little tiny town back in my hometown, actually. And I fell in love with a motorcycle, just loved the freedom on the road, and I just forgot about everything because of COVID striking. I just forgot about society's desires upon me, meaning get a job, do this. I just forgot about the jobs for then because I had one and then it was not taken. I left it because legal issues with the company and the feds itself, not me. So fast forwarding, I learned a lot about people in the last year. And my biggest curiosity was with women in this modern age. Because there was something there that I knew they were looking for, but they felt like they had no way out of it. So I brought up things like the modern dating structure. You have Tinder, you have all this objective nature stuff where it's just filled with it to the point where you can't see out of it. And maybe some people agree with me on this, but sometimes you meet a girl and it just erases all of that objectification. All of it's gone. All you do is see her as a human, not a object to crave. And that has happened maybe 3 or 5 times, maybe. I don't know. It wasn't that often because every time I would look at a girl I was interested in, it would fill me with this like desire to dig deep down to find a worth to my name. And it would always make me look at the darkest aspects, which was nothing other than the fact that I had 2 virtues going for me, which was I need to have a way to provide comfort, protection, just stability, you know what I mean? While also knowing deep down that I am not bringing a kid into this world unless I can explain the world in a way that makes sense. And now I do, to the point where I could teach a child how this world works to the point where he's not going into it blind. And where I'm at right now, I don't want to tell that to a child. I want to tell that to everyone that understands it, which would normally be my age. I am 28. And then all the generations younger than me that are just lost in this mess of information. And it's all there as a distraction. And then you've got things like social media and all that. Just black holes of useless information. Just stuff that divides people by ideas. That's it, because that's exactly all it is. People, ideas have people. People don't have ideas. So later in 2020, I had a near-death experience, which was me falling off my bike at around 5 miles an hour. It was really a weird scenario because after looking back at it, it's like just like there was no reason for that to occur. It just happened. Because it wasn't like I was distracted driving or drunk driving or anything. It was just a weird accident that just happened like a blink of an eye. But what it did to me was beg me to question, I could have died. I need a worth to my name. What is it? I started slowly becoming honest with how I felt because I wasn't suicidal, obviously, but I still felt like the world was just killing me because I couldn't find my way through it. And I gave up on it all because I have too much on my past that people judge you for. Not like drug addiction or any of that, but that's still not a reason to judge people because there's reasons people are pushed to that extent. Separate from that, so my near-death experience, it just begged me to question deep down a worth. And then it made me become honest with how I felt, which is the first time in my life I ever did so. I was finally assertive in the way that I felt, which never happened to me. I always felt like I never had a voice, ever. I felt like I couldn't criticize certain things like social media or what's all been created as a kind of distraction. It felt all so inhuman to me. And that's basically what it's done. It's basically dehumanized the entire structure of humanity into these people that don't look at anything but just go through life thinking that this is it. And there are such beautiful moments in this life that when you see them, you just want to go back. And that followed. So I woke up one day at camp free of all pain. No more of that psychological pain of questions, all these things. It was just like something was lifted. And I just had the comfort to like look around at the nature around me and just enjoy it for the first time in my 27 years at the time, 27. I'm just like, holy shit, is this what existing is like? So I went through about a 7-day period of just some weird stuff. I was thinking about humanity in a means to like how we advanced so fast, what it's done to our minds, and it's sped us up to a certain degree, like ADHD. That's one of the side effects of having so much information, so many choices, and not knowing which one to take. And that's a lot of anxiety. That's a lot of the reasons anxiety exists is because nobody knows where to go. So I a few, maybe 2 weeks after that whole 7-day period, I finally was free to look into my past because, like I said, all of my past pains were like not malazed over with this with the trait of nostalgia, where you look back at a good time before you realize some pain. And then it's only malazed over with the good, and you never incorporate the pain from it. So I incorporated the pain of everything. It wasn't even me. It was just done. It was the weirdest thing. So I started peeling the pages of my past, and I realized I see this world in ways that not many people do. And I realized that it's not a it wasn't intentional, but it was a flaw in just how complex we got without looking back and saying, oh, maybe we made a mistake. And it's really hard for humanity to say it made mistakes, which, we're flawed human beings. We do things without really looking at the objective level of it. And I realized that Asperger's should never have been labeled. And it's riddled throughout the past, right where it was discovered in early early stages of World War II to where the doctor went to Nazi Germany. You know what I mean. If not, you don't know. It doesn't matter. So here's where it gets interesting. It's where my life literally became the inverse of what it used to be. Where I was always quiet, always learning, not apparent to me, but I was always learning. I was always recording stuff that I saw, and then finally, like a bump on the head that was like a reset switch, I just incorporated it all and just realized I had a worth to myself. And for the first time in my life, I just felt complete. After 27 years of fighting, I felt complete, like nothing could stop me, and it was beautiful. And I didn't think of myself as better than anyone else because we're all in this boat together. So I'm hanging out with friends at this time. And this is where it gets strange because, of course, at this time, nobody had anything to hold against me other than the fact that I crashed. But then I just had this sudden sense of like, I have no more fear. I don't care because I don't mean anybody any harm. I'm not looking for simple-minded things. I'm just having fun and going with the flow. That night I meet a girl, randomly. Sure, random. I was meant to meet her because what I learned through it was astronomical. It was one of the most beautiful moments of my life when I first introduced myself to her, walked away, and it felt like something was there, like a string attached that I didn't see. But it just instantly filled my head with curiosity. I was just like, who is that? And she walks over and asks to play pool. God, my eyes need to stop twitching today. So we play pool twice, and meanwhile, I'm just observing again and just having fun. And I had this sudden feeling a second game in. I'm like, oh, this is so weird being comfortable in my own skin. I look at my friend, say I'm about to have a heart attack, jokingly. I look down at the pool table and I see her staring right back at me with a smile brighter than I don't think anyone's ever seen. But her eyes were so wide, I was instantly just lost, gone. I wasn't there. I was falling. And they always say falling in love is like a grandiose thing. And of course, in that moment, it was. Little did I know what I was in for. But luckily at that time, I realized the pain is some really valuable lessons. And that was probably the most valuable lesson I ever got, which was how it taught me everything about people and why they avoid certain things and why they aren't willing to incorporate pain. Because they fear the judgment, and I realized why people hold people accountable for really stupid things. Like, why do you do it? Because that's the only thing you know is how to get fuel against someone in the form of like the will to power that Nietzsche says. And that's the only social currency we have is information against each other. And just that alone separated me from everybody. Lo and behold, a few weeks passed. I only met her the once, and then, well, not the once. I met her 3 times after, 3 times after that, actually. And each time it was a really harsh lesson because I was still coming to and learning some stuff. And it was really, really, like, emotionally, like, just, like, taking the biggest Band-Aid that was down to my very, very soul, so to speak, and just peeling it off as fast as possible. It was not painless. Slowly time progressed. I realized something was coming in between us, and I didn't know what it was, but I just stood it out. But then I spoke my mind more, which was ballsy for me to do, but I spoke my mind and then got revealed a lot of the truth behind it because something did get in between us, which was a lie told by one of her friends to get her in fear of me, to which she ran. But in the process, everyone started recording what I did because never before in my life had I been so free of fear, judgment, whatever. It was the beautiful and most painful time of my life. Like I said, it was the inverse. It was so many lessons chalked up into like 1 month. I can't even comprehend it. One of her friends spread a lie about me saying that I was asking around the town for chloroform, and at that time, of course it was ridiculous because I would never do her harm. I told people straight up I would have to jump off of a bridge if I was to do her any harm. I wouldn't, yeah, yeah, I don't even need to explain that. It's straightforward. And then I realized something deep down. I'm like, there's something bad about him because he was so easily deceitful to just gain the trust of people and then to use information against them. And then I got that information a month later. A friend of mine called me up, was like, yeah, man, he's really bad. And I'm rubbing my forehead going, I was trying to tell you guys this. And then telling me that he came in between each side of the social structure, between everybody, talking information about one, talking information about the other, and then getting them to fight between each other. And I'm like, yeah. Have you ever seen what his record was like? And this is one of the sins that I know people cannot forgive themselves for, and they hide from it. Almost like the film Shutter Island, where if you have done something in your past you can't forgive yourself for, you create this persona so that you can carry on without zero regard to what you're doing because of avoiding it. They're just destroying. And he was convicted of rape a year ago. And that was the most painful aspect, where it's called psychological deflection. You portray people as yourself to hide the fact that that is you. And that is a key trait in people like this. And it's so dangerous, and I want it out so that other people don't get harmed. Not saying that he's going to do that again, but that was a real painful lesson in it. And not coming terms with the pain just destroys stuff, but also being social for the first time in my life, I did realize, like, that's all the social structure was, especially for my generation, was just gossip and a lot of useless information, a lot of information that needn't be said. They say if you have nothing good to say, don't say it at all, and there is a very good truth to that. Because the only reason we speak a language is to transfer information or intelligence or anything good. Compliments are meaningless to an extent. It's just when all you're predicated on is the negative aspects of something, you need to realize what it is. It's something negative dragging you back. And that getting revealed all that information was the hardest thing to realize about resentment, because of course in that moment I did resent him, but because I had evidence to show that resentment did nothing except separate me, I stopped resenting a friend of mine because I assumed he was harming me, but he wasn't. He was just trying to figure it out for his own self. Then I forgave him one day, and then stuff started happening. I'm like, this is interesting, because if you hold resentment, it hurts you. And you don't see why, you don't know why, it just does. Letting go of resentment, what people have done to you, because we're all lost in this world. It's a labyrinth. And once we let go of all that resentment towards people and what they've done and why they've done it, maybe you can incorporate those lessons to know you should either stay away or give them space. And we're so prone to attachment these days. I've never had any attachment in my life except for that one day. The only attachment I had was learning and doing what I loved, which progressed from aviation to more complex things to psychology to understand Asperger's. Then I just forgot it because it was still too many questions, and I was suffering deeply about, like, just being depressed because it felt like the world was, like I said, just labeled me worthless. So, all of that said, it's a long story, and that is not all the detail at all. And I do intend to write a book, but it's not easy doing so. So I just figured I would write a book and then post some videos about this. This channel's purpose, to end this, I really want to open up the truth behind why social media is so detrimental, because it keeps us in our boxes, separate from ideas. It allows judgment behind the scenes. Where back in the day, before the internet was a thing, that's all we had was judgment to the face, not behind the scenes. Phones came out, people could talk about people behind their backs. And there's no reason for it. None whatsoever. unless you're worried about someone, then go to their face. That's where I was standing. I just said if I had something to say about someone, sure, I might talk about it in a social group, but it's only because I'm worried about them, of which I would just follow with going straight to their face and telling them that. Because otherwise there was no purpose to it other than social currency. So, I hope you got something from this video. I tried to upload it earlier and I didn't realize my computer didn't recognize the format my camera recorded in. So I did this with my phone after a car ride. So I'll post more videos up once I figure out the equipment and what topics to write. I'm hoping this raises up some questions because I haven't even gone into the deepest details. I tell people this story and they just tell me to come out with it, so I just said screw it. It's just really complex and I don't know where to start. So hopefully this raises up some questions, and then give me some feedback in the comments. If you have anything you would like to ask or know about, is I've been through the depths. I see how we suffer, and it's when we don't feel we have a voice. And that goes with employment, that goes with relationships. When you feel like you don't have a voice, you suffer, and it prolongs feeling complete. And there's a lot of lessons that are to be learned from the painful ripping of band-aids, like speaking your mind when you don't feel like you should, but you do. And it's our withholding of this ability to speak that keeps us where we are. Where we don't make enough money to afford places to live. We just keep getting walked on at work. We don't get a chance to advance at work. And the horrible state of employment where it's all just so, like I said, inhuman. Sending in an application saying, here's my past, now judge me for it. It's just highly flawed, and it needs to be fixed, and the best way to do that is to start speaking about it. That way people can start seeing the worth to it, and that way people can start feeling happy knowing that they don't have to worry about what bill needs to be paid or what thing they can buy to fill a void, because you don't need anything more than the house, the car, or whatever transportation you need. You can still enjoy life. We don't need all of this filler. We don't need all of this social clout. Like, that's all that TikTok has done. And it's just black holes of just nothingness. There's no purpose to it other than just some information is good, I guess. That's what some people have said. I just haven't forced myself into it. Without droning on for too far or too long, like I already have, I hope you did get something from this video. And like I said, if you do have any questions or comments, concerns, or topics you would like me to discuss about this modern age, please feel free to comment and tell me what you would like, because I do need some pointers as to where to go, because I could talk about it all. Every psychological phase I went through to finally just being complete, which is really the weirdest feeling in my life. And it's taken me this long to finally say it. So I hope you guys have a good day, and I'm sorry this had to be on my phone, but that's all I had to do it with. So thank you guys, and I hope you have a good day.